Welcome to English Through History. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe or leave us a review. It helps us to create more content and is appreciated by our small team here. John Edgar Hoover, born on January the 1st, 1895 in Washington, D.C., would go on to become one of the most powerful and controversial figures in American law enforcement history. As the first director of the FBI, Hoover's tenure spanned nearly 5 decades, from 1924 until his death in 1972. His influence reached far beyond the realms of crime fighting, shaping the FBI into a formidable institution and leaving a lasting mark on the nation's history. In today's episode, we will be examining Hoover's legacy, which is marked by both commendation and criticism, as he navigated the complex landscape of the 20th century America with a unique blend of intelligence, cunning, and controversy. J Edgar Hoover was born into a middle-class family. His father worked for the U.S. Coast and Geodetic Survey. Raised in Washington, D.C., Hoover displayed an early interest in law enforcement, joining the Justice Department in 1917, shortly after graduating from law school. His entry into the world of federal law enforcement coincided with the height of the First World War, and Hoover quickly rose through the ranks due to his intelligence and his work ethic. In 1924, at the age of 29, Hoover was appointed as the head of the Bureau of Investigation, a precursor to the FBI. At the time, the agency was riddled with corruption and lacked a centralized structure. Hoover set out to transform the Bureau into a professional, a disciplined, and an efficient organization. One of his first acts as director was to establish the FBI's Scientific Crime Detection Laboratory, now recently known as the FBI Crime Lab, and this was in 1932. The lab became a crucial asset in solving crimes through the application of scientific methods. He was, however, considered erratic when dealing with his staff, often removing agents from positions for arbitrary reasons. He also fired every female agent and wouldn't entertain the notion of hiring any more female agents in the FBI. Under Hoover's leadership, the FBI embarked on a relentless war on crime. The 1930s saw the era of infamous gangsters like John Dillinger and Bonnie and Clyde, and the FBI, armed with new forensic techniques and modern crime-fighting methods, became a formidable force against this organized crime. Hoover's efforts to pursue and bring these criminals to justice elevated the FBI's public profile and garnered widespread support. However, Hoover's focus on high-profile cases and his penchant for publicity also raised concerns about the Bureau's priorities. Some critics argued that the FBI under Hoover often prioritized headline-grabbing cases over addressing more widespread issues such as political corruption and civil rights violations. In post-World War II era, this brought new challenges for the FBI, particularly the rising fear of communism. Hoover, who was a staunch anti-communist, played a central role in the Second Red Scare. He targeted suspected communists, sympathizers, and anyone deemed a threat to national security. This led to the infamous era of McCarthyism, and this era was categorized with individuals being accused of communist ties without any substantial evidence, and it resulted in ruined careers and damaged lives. One of the most controversial aspects of Hoover's legacy is the counterintelligence program, COINTELPRO. Authorized in 1956, COINTELPRO aimed to infiltrate and disrupt domestic political organizations deemed subversive. Initially focused on the Communist Party in the USA, it later expanded to include civil rights groups, feminist organizations, and anti-Vietnam War activists. The program involved covert surveillance, infiltration, and attempts to sow discord amongst the targeted groups. Hoover was, by all accounts, frustrated by the Supreme Court decision to refuse to prosecute people based on their political views. While Hoover is celebrated for his role in dismantling organized crime, his stance on civil rights remains a dark chapter in his legacy. Hoover was criticized for his opposition to the civil rights movements, viewing activists like Martin Luther King Jr. as threats to the established order. The FBI, under Hoover's leadership, monitored and attempted to discredit civil rights leaders, contributing to the oppression of those fighting for racial equality. Hoover's public image was carefully curated. He was known for his impeccably tailored suits, his well-groomed appearance, and a stern and unyielding demeanor. He was careful to present the FBI as an incorruptible and efficient institution, and he often used the media to his advantage. However, behind the scenes, Hoover was known for his secretive and authoritarian leadership style. He amassed significant power and data on several influential people for use in intimidation, and he cultivated an aura of invincibility. J Edgar Hoover's death in 1972 marked the end of an era for the FBI. His legacy is complex, reflecting both commendable achievements and troubling actions. Hoover transformed the Bureau into a modern and effective law enforcement agency, but his tactics, such as domestic surveillance and the abuse of power, continue to be sources of controversy. In the years following his death, revelations about Hoover's personal life added another layer to the enigma. Rumors and speculation about his sexuality and possible hidden agendas fueled public interest, contributing to the complex legacy he left behind. J. Edgar Hoover's impact on American law enforcement is undeniable. As the first director of the FBI, he shaped the Bureau into a powerful and influential institution. His relentless pursuits of criminals during the War on Crime and his efforts against communism during the Red Scare are part of his legacy. However, the controversial aspects of his tenure, including COINTELPRO and his opposition to the civil rights movements, tarnish his reputation. Hoover's legacy prompts ongoing discussions about the balance between national security and civil liberties, the abuse of government power, and the consequences of unchecked authority that carry on into the modern day. As we reflect on the life and career of J. Edgar Hoover, we are reminded and must remember about the complexity it is inherent in the history of American law enforcement and the ongoing challenges of preserving justice while respecting individual rights.